Preferably, I would like a hole in the front because without a hole, it makes the drums a little bit softer. There's no air for it to go out. So no hole like that is nice if you're playing jazz where you crank it up, you want that note, right? But we are playing pop in general. Having a hole is nice. Helps the air to come out. But if you got nothing inside, you're kind of like fighting with the rebound of the skin. Make sense? Some people like the pillow to touch both sides. For me, if I had to only touch one side, I will only touch the head. Some people like Simon Phillips. He only uses hotel towels, and he makes that very clear. Only hotel towels. I don't know how he gets hotel towels, whether he's in a hotel or what. Hotel towels, you will roll it, and you will line it over here, and you just take and you just place it. He will leave the front open. Just one towel, but a thick towel. He will leave the front one. That means nothing is touching, no contact. So it gets like that 808-ish kind of like the sub sound from the front head. But in order to get that, that's why you realize Simon Phillips' bass drums is very short. Doing that or touching both sides is fine. Okay, but in general, the batter head, which is this one, is looser than the front head. For me, one of the biggest secrets to have a good feel in your bass drum is to jump on the head. This one is Simon Phillips taught me. When he changed heads, he will literally stand on the bass drum and just.
No, it won't break.
He said if it breaks, get a new one. That means head lousy. But basically, why he does that is because you want your head to sit at the bearing edges. Basically, the bearing edges is where the skin sits and comes into contact with the drum, alright? You want it to really sit in, really settle in. And the head is big, so it needs quite a bit of pressing. And because he uses Remo, you can afford to do that. For bass drum head, okay. But for toms, a minor CPR, okay? Not a heavy one. A little bit just to get the skin settled and then that's it forever. The other brands, I don't know. Okay, so for bass drum, in order to get a nice touch, you really need to let the skin settle. If not, you'll find that sometimes you play bass drum, right? When you wet, the thing always bounce back. Especially if you're the type you like to bury the bitter, you like to let it stick. You'll find that some drums, the thing doesn't sit properly, will always fight back against you without it. And the reason for that is because the skin is not really settled and sitting thoroughly around the edges. This will make or break how you tune drums and how confident you tune drums. Okay, this is very important. Which is understanding the relationship between the top and bottom. Okay. The bottom head is your pitch. The top head is your texture. Very, very important. Now, what is your pitch? Your pitch, now remember that your bottom head is equally as important as your top head. Okay? A lot of people when they play, they really just regard the bottom head. Okay, but the truth is, your bottom head is your fundamental that supports your top. Okay? It's like, you see a nice building, right? But what holds the building together is the foundation. The foundation in this case, okay. Your bottom head, if you don't give it the respect, it will not support your drum as well. That's the truth. Okay? Always start with the biggest shell first. And why you do that is to get your range. Range is very important. Now, the bottom head, I say pitch, right? When I say pitch, in other words, it's your fundamental note, okay? Of which your texture will build on top of. So, you need to establish a note. And the note varies depending on the nature of the drum, what size it is. Some drums, like remember you were saying, your pearl is a lot higher, right? So that's because the nature of the drum is just in a higher range. Mainly because it's maple. Maple shells give you more open sound, but they tend to be a more hybrid register. Dark wood give you a lower range, or like birch. Birch, moringa, those kind of woods, they give you a darker sound, so you get better lower frequency. But maple is somehow is quite high, honestly. Okay. Normally, when I come across a kid, I learn one principle: don't trust how the person before this tuned in. You know. So what I do is loosen everything back to 0. Okay. I'll call it pretty much just reset it. When I say reset means put everything back to 0. Okay. Turning out everything now. This is a cheap drum, so obviously you look at the head. When the brand bottom head is unknown and it has no brand, most of the time they are very thin. They're probably as thin as snare drum heads. Afraid it sounds. So the trick, if you have a cheap drum, right, and you want to make a cheap drum sound expensive, is to change the bottom head. Change to at least if you're using Remo, Ambassador, clear, or if you're using Evans, use the G1 clear. But a good head holds the tone very well. Okay? For me, I will always change. If I get a set of drums, I'll make sure the bottom heads are changed because they are your fundamental. They support the bottom head, the top head. Okay? So now everything is at 0 more or less, right? So what do we have here? A frill sounding head. Okay. Now I'm going to try my best to do this. So now I've already pretty much put everything to 0, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go star wise, just one round. So maybe one round, like another half a turn, right? I just go one time first. Now I'm a person that tunes to the room. I don't tune based on formula. I tune to the room. Okay. If you take the drum sound nice here, you take it to another hall, it may sound different, right? True. So that is refinement, tuning refinement. Okay, so now I've gone one round. 1, 2, 3. Pretty much I just covered one round, right? This is your pitch, right? I've established a pitch now. Assuming I don't know this drum at all. Okay, it's my first time playing with it. I'm just trying to find a pitch to work with first. Okay, it's not finalized, but all you need to do is get a pitch. So from there, what I'll do is I'll equalize it. Get all the sides. Tuning it like this, putting it on the stair, is like how guitarists tune with harmonics. Right? Treat it the same way. See, it's more or less equal, right? So if one of them like pops out like slightly different, try your best to just get it as similar as possible, okay? Give it that respect, it deserves that respect, okay? So assuming this is what we have, okay? I'm gonna work with this. So I've identified the lower shell, the bigger shell for the floor tom, and I've got a pitch, okay? Now, once I get that, now I put back the drum. I will actually, now I will default loosen everything, factory setting 0. So the term I use is just 0 everything lah, right? Put everything back to 0, roughly like 0, okay? So I have 0 here, right? Here's the fun part. How do I tune the room? Now that I got my pitch, I want to find my texture. Now, the texture always start in this order. You got a wet sound, right? Which means you hear a lot of plastic sound. The essence of this plastic sound, you hear it very evidently, right? Right? Now, this kind of texture is common towards metal music, where you hear the bass line diggy 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 diggy, and then you need the floor toms to match that temperament. A lot of times it can be somewhere around here. Okay? So you got wet sound, right? After that you have fat, and then you have round, then you have choked. In this order, wet transform into fat. When I say fat, you have the doom doom, and then you have round sound doom. That means you don't have the deep, where your top and bottom is already same, about the same pitch. And then you have choke, where you hear it in jazz music, where it just sounds choke, right? The top becomes higher than the bottom. So pretty much your drum will go through these 4 stages, okay? I like to keep my drums around fat to round. Okay, when I say fat, that means my this head is still slightly lower than the bottom head. When I say round, means both the top and bottom are about the same. Some drums you hear it more evident, some drums don't really have it very evident. But let's test. Okay. Here you hear no tone. Okay. All you hear is just blah blah blah, right? Because why? When you're tuning your drum like this, what is you're really concerned is you want attack, you want articulation. So in a place like this, where the tone is always like everywhere, right? The only way for you to capture clarity is to increase the attack. So now you hear the attack, you can hear the skin sound. But the thing is, I want a bit of tone, right? So okay, from 0 now, what I'll do is, this is my favorite part of tuning drum. Once you tune the bottom head, you get a pitch. I will just like fine tune the top. I will hit the drum as I am tuning it. I want to hear the pitch form. I like that, to hear that process, because what I'm doing is I'm trying to read the sound in the room. I'm seeing how the sound like reflects in the room. And to me, that is what determines, that's how I get the best sound out of the room. So pretty much I consider the room. Most people will just tune like that, but for me, I like to consider how the room sounds. Does it clear? Is there overtones or what? You know, I mean, this is all very important for me, especially in a live room. You know, so like this room, I'm a bit more like, it's a bit trickier. Okay, so you come here, you will start to hear the tones slowly start to form. See, I'm going very slowly. Now, slowly, tone is starting to form. And you see, I'm just tweaking very little. I'm not really tweaking, I'm just like going little. See the tone starting to come. Now, the more rounds I go, the lesser my tuning knobs go, because it's like you're just refining, you're just refining it. When you feel it's coming close to where you like it, hear the tone, tung, tung. Now it's in the fat range already. Tung, tung. Hear more tone coming up as I go higher. Here now you can hear more body and tone. Just now earlier, all you hear is this, right? Which is wet. Then you hear round. So you see, at certain drums, maybe your bottom head, someone you will hear the tung, the weird frequency. You hear that weird frequency. Now that is because you hear the frequency popping from behind. Ow, ow, ow. This frequency. Because why? Bottom head chip. So when you experiment on drums, what you can do is you just test out. As you go higher, you see how the temperament start to change. So okay, as of now, I know that in this room, what I'm hearing is starting to get a weird frequency already. So I would take, for this case, going a bit lower, kind of gives me that cleaner sound, right? I mean, you got frilled heads, means your heads are
very hard
really
to
like. So, but this is okay. Okay, now this head. Okay. So, okay, there is tone, there is some sustain, it's not fully dead. If you had tape, you just tape the bottom, clean up the frequency. You got decent float. Now you can top. Same concept. Give it like again, right? So your job is to get it same.
So the pitch is according to the
natural build of the drum, because you use maple, you use birch, you use different shell, they will all respond differently. But basically, just find a common pitch to work with. When DW get DW, right, the collectors, they got note, right?
Okay.
When you get DW collectors, at the certificate inside, you will see a note value, a note number, a note value, whether it's whatever lah, C, D, or B flat or what. That actually is given for you to tune your bottom as a fundamental base, or rather, that is the note on the shell. Everything is around 0, right? More or less, right? So for one round, A flat. So in this case, I got more or less A flat. Yeah, A flat, correct. Yes, okay, correct, correct. Okay, so I got A flat. Yeah. That was a note. Okay?
Yeah, more or less.
More or less. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but if you're OCD, like him, then probably you will, what A flat? Now, I feel 0, right? So this is how like in engineering, you learn how to sweep frequencies. Right? If you don't learn engineering, what it means to sweep a frequency, to find like the bad frequency, you sweep it, then you cancel it. EQing, in your EQing process. So okay, let's say this is 0. I mean, there's so many ways to do it. It's just that this is what works for me, fast. I mean, I'm just doing it slow now, but I find that if I do it in this way, I get to really like diagnose the drums. So I got 0. Right? This is like when you're a metal player, like this, correct? Okay, so now everybody come here, how the drums perform. Come this side, especially from a drummer's perspective, then because the projection that side versus this side is very different. You need your ears to be as close, your ears need to be like a microphone like that near the drum, then you can hear. Right? So you got one pitch already. Sorry, this is not the best pitch. It's not perfect. I mean, if you have a good quality drum, you will hear the difference. Okay? So I'm going to put your ear nearby. As I'm tuning, see how the frequency starts to change. Starting to come together. Alright. See the tone come out now? It's like it's breathing. It's alive. Right? See, clean separation. Hey, this is not bad for cheap drum. For very cheap drum. So once I tune everything, this will come out to about the note A. Right? Check, it's around A. A. That one is to A, right? More or less. So most of the time, if you all understand solfege, right? If you all understand solfege, do, mi, so, right? Most of the time, if you have a 16, 12, and a 10, it will be do, so, do. So I like to keep my separation around those intervals. Do, so, do. If I have a do, so, do. Or if you got a 14-inch, let's say I got this 14-inch, you have a 16, do, mi, so, do, or do, me, so, do. Depend on which sits better. For 14-inch to me, it's a little bit useless for pop because here to here, I prefer the drop from. Personally, I prefer the drop from. 12 to 16 is bigger, it's like more defined. So that's why if you realize my setup, I always put the 14-inch like outside. It's because I will only use it sparingly if I need like a lot of stuff. But now, like, it sounds good, man. Not bad sound, you know, for a very cheap kit. Okay, so then we're done with this. Now, this guy, you see this fella is very off. Joke already, right? Okay, let's try to do magic for this guy. And I didn't even use any tape, guys. Just purely just
one loose lug.
this is not a good thing. Okay, this is not a good thing, guys.
Oh yeah,
Broken? Oh no.
Okay, guys. I am so sorry to tell you, but it's not gonna work.
yeah, it has no thread.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately we can't really tune this guy because so
Switch to 3-piece.
I guess yeah, we can just use 2-piece for now. Because but either way, so it kind of is still contained in a room that is live.
Yeah.
So that is capturing. This is what I mean by tuning to the room. Finding the frequencies that respect the hall and complement the hall. This fella a little bit hard to deal because the bottom head you saw was a bit frail, but this guy still okay. Even with cheap heads, you see, you still can get decent sound. You know how to tune drum. So once you understand this concept, right, tuning drums become fun because you already know how to experiment with other drums, other brands, and you get to feel like their quality and their build. It's like, you know, if you can cook well, you will know, you will enjoy all the different kind of ingredients that you cook, knowing that wow, you appreciate it, you know what I mean? Okay? So yeah, so drums mainly is either they have hook technology or it's this kind of technology. This one is like Yamaha, Pearl, right? This is like Tama, DW, Sono, all is hook. Different lugs require different kind of mounting system technology. Here's the interesting thing about this kind of mounting system. You can actually control a little bit more, you have a little bit more control over like resonance and touch from how deep, whether you put it inside here. It's stiffer feel. You want the thing to be a bit looser, gives you a breather a little bit more. And also sometimes that affects the resonance, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. Now it can be a good thing because you can control and adjust your resonance sometimes, and sometimes the drums don't get as choked. But the bad thing is sometimes like your angle, let's say you just now it's like so front, you want to put your snare. I want to put my snare go inside, but this fella already come out so much. And some of the drums, you push it in, it lose their sustain. Or rather the feel might change depending on how good the mount system is. You have the option, that little bit of flexibility with this kind of mount system. You don't have flexibility with that kind. Sometimes it does affect, especially if you put two toms and you're trying to adjust. Like for Yamaha problem, I don't know about now, but like the older generation Yamahas, like the ones that I have, the Absolute Novu, if you mount a tom like that, most of the time the 12-inch tom will you will always be dead. So certain drums had some of these issues back then. That's why they started to come out with they call the Virgin bass drum. That means no hole, you're mounting on the stand versus this. So some people feel like putting nothing on the bass drum is a better option. Some people feel that floating is nicer. I like floating nowadays. It kind of takes the stress away from the bass drum. And you have more flexibility with your toms, right? Okay, you hit the drum like this. Okay, you hit the drum. That's it, nice. Stiffen out touch-wise. So in this case, you can play with the touch. So which one you prefer?
For the first one.
First one, right? But the thing is, you put first one, your stand down come out. So okay, let's say you put middle. Get the next pedal. always make sure I try to be as comfortable with the drums. I love to play on comfortable drums. I will do anything to give that comfort, to make that comfort available. Then it makes your whole playing experience there. I mean, of course, there are times where you can't really choose. You're playing a show that a lot of people playing. Especially you do like for me, I do festivals. Many people are playing on the gate. That's when I won't really bother to tune. So, but if I do have a choice, I'll make sure I get the best comfort out of the drums. It's basically the respect you give to your instrument. You're respecting the instrument that you play, the tone that comes out. Can you imagine if you sound good as a drummer? You don't need good drums to sound good because it's all in your hands and feet. What more if you give the drums respect? It will only be amplified even better. And on top of that, if you take that and you give it to a good engineer, he will take it to another level. Your job as a drummer is to have a good ingredient to present to the engineer. It's like your job is just to sell that Kobe beef, that Wagyu beef to the chef. However he cook it is his problem, not your problem. So, but your job is to make sure you provide the quality. And if your engineer is good, he will take this to another level. If his engineer is bad, it's also out of your control. It's not your job to tell, he's supposed to do it. So, beautiful sounding drum now. Okay, so here is the other part of it. Here is the next important thing we want to write down. What are we really looking for here? Okay, this is important. We are looking to balance three elements, which is attack, body, and tone. What do I mean by that? Attack is basically the essence of this sound. Plastic sound that gives the presence of that. Okay? This is the attack. The body is basically the size of the drum. You can tell that this is a tom, this is a 4-tom because of the size. And the tone. The tone is what we were trying to tackle. Remember I told you pitch and texture. Now the tone is pretty much the thing that sums up the drums. Is it tum tum or tong tong or bong bong? How would you want your tom to sound like? For me, I want warm sounding tom, so I want the texture to always be closer to tum 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 tum. I don't need it to sound like tong tong or tao tao bong bong. You know what I mean? Or tum 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 tum. It's like super dead. You know what I mean? I want tum with the tum. You can pretty much now hear it. Tum tum. This, how about this guy? Black. Tum. Hear the text different? Black. This is like black, right? One tum is black, right?
Yeah.
So as long as you understand that a nice tom sound should sound like tum, not black or what, like this. See the black, 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 right? Black, black, right? Sloppy, right? Brown. So that is, you are trying to balance these three elements. Okay, that means when I hit, I can hear the attack balance throughout all my drums. Right? Everything is balanced. The doom is all equal. You can hear the essence of that balance around the drum. You can hear the separation of the floor tom and the tom. You can also hear tone is there. It's all balanced. It sounds like one family, right? This does not sound like one family. See what I mean? It's like they're not in the same wavelength. So that's what I mean by balancing attack, body, and tone. That's the basic concept of tuning. It requires a lot of practice and attempting to tune drums. So for me, it became a habit where every time I play drums, I'll always make sure I tune my drums. So it became like a habit that I always do. So because I keep doing it, it's like I'm already used to what I want to hear. Yes, I still do struggle tuning certain drums. Like when I was on tour at Taiwan, I'm just so stubborn, just wouldn't sustain. It just will always sound. Pretty much, we got a decent sounding kit here. So that's how I balance drums. And also don't forget, the temperament has to also match your bass drum. That's cleaned up my drums, my toms. Now here is the important part also, the snare. Now snare really depends on the nature of the song. Okay, in a place like that, if I tune my snare low, trust me, the whole place goes right? If I tune this snare low, it will pretty much overshadow the whole place. So I would say, a place like this, making it a bit more mid to high, gives that clarity a bit more. If you put low, if let's say okay, I'm going to tune one snare high, one snare low, just so that you have an idea, right, of projection. I don't follow the same tuning system for snare. I only do it for okay, because snare, I like to I just crank it until I find it the room, it's nice, and I'm done. In this case, I like it a little bit higher. Say, because these drums, you see, cheap drums don't project as much as expensive drums. Yeah, it doesn't like fly over the place the frequency is. This snare is good because it has a little bit of control in this room. You can hear. It doesn't like pang, you know, like some snares they ring so much. It's like they just pierce through everybody's ear. This is still okay. It's still controllable. Also, one thing, a fat snare, and you put it here. If you got a 10-inch tom, the 10-inch toms will rattle like nobody's business. That's why most of the time when people use fat snare, the tom is always a bigger size, 12-inch or bigger or 13-inch. Because the frequency somehow of a 10-inch is with the, unless you put it here. I put a fat snare here, I put a 10-inch here, I will have no problem. So, for something a bit more mid, since we are talking more pop lah. If I'm doing like my fusion gospel stuff or what, I go a bit higher just for clarity. But the lower you tune it, the fatter is it. So some places like tune fat snare, the vibration will be quite epic. But let's say it's tightening up, just firming up the tone. The tone is slowly coming together. I'm just firming up the tone, giving it a come on now. It's already at that point where it's projecting enough for the room. Got nice poppy tone. Let's say okay, for fat sounding snares, they work better with wood. Metal snares are a little bit tricky depending on which metal snare you use. In general, they work better with wood. So most of the time when I play pop shows, I will have a mid-tuned snare and a low-tuned snare. Because most of the time your songs are pretty much either the closest temperament to either of me. Of course, like if I had my full setup, I got piccolo as well. And then you need to find the right life, the temperament of snare that fits the life aspect of it. So I would think this BFM well, you would have only used this. This snare, you only go if somebody put a wallet. Maybe got like soft wallet. Let's say you have a leather wallet is the best. So let's say you would put perfect out for the song. Maybe a control. So most of the time when I do pop shows, I have based on what fits the song. When we hear song temperaments, you will find that it's closer to either one of these. Okay? If you got the pads and you want to use it, it's fine too. But normally, if you don't have, then you have to find what is the closest temperament that fits best for the song. Okay, personally, I like to. Okay, here's the basic thing. 90 degrees, anything more than that, you get energy. Anything less than that, you lose energy on the drum because of your composure of how you're sitting. You know, so in this case, I don't have much energy. I'm more relaxed. Like I won't have so much tension as much because my legs are around 90 degrees. So if I play pop show, I will need to sit a little bit higher so that I got that control over the drums that when I need to go high energy, I can do that. Now playing jazz gig or what, it's okay for me to sit this low. Me also in that sense, I've seen some drummers sit these poor and they're like 6'5", and then but they're sitting like this. So that is the general understanding lah. Your seat height will determine your energy projection level. So in this case, in a small place like that, it's okay to sit lower for me. But some people still like to still sit at a certain height always. That's not wrong. For me, I just know that if I sit at an angle like this, my bottom is a little bit more controlled. It won't be as naturally as aggressive. If I play pop show, yes, I will need to sit a little bit higher. I need that angle of like this so that my exertion is there if I need to, right? So when you tune your drums, okay, and especially if you're performing in your mics, right? However you like your drum to sound, you know that by the time it's mic out and it will come out a little bit lower sounding because most of the time it's the body. So if you like a tone, right? You normally anticipate it and just crank it out a little bit. By the time you project out, you'll probably project the initial temperament, if you get what I mean. You do a lot of session, you start to realize, my snare sound a bit lower. I thought I tuned it high, but actually it was sweet. It's just that the mic picks up the more meats in your drum, so it makes your temperament come out a little bit on the lower side. So like this, you will probably come out like just now, that. Sound and even controlling your snare wire, how much wire you want. I need a little bit on the tighter side so that I just get a little bit of clarity, but not too tight until choke. A little bit more. Clarity even on the fat sounding snare, right?